Good evening, Saturday evening to you, Thunder Wizards. So, today we are going to talk about something I have been talking about lately, but I'm going to focus on it today. And I'm going to surgically analyze it for you so that your intellect will understand what this will accomplish. When your intellect understands it, then you will feel safe in practicing it. This is something that I have learned that most Western people do. Of course, I am come from Western society, but most of us Westerners, if we don't intellectually understand something, then we tend not to trust it, and if we don't trust it, we won't do it. Whereas, in ancient times and still in some traditional cultures, the teacher says, go do this, and it may sound totally strange and weird, and the student just goes and does it and understands that they don't need to understand it, that it has that the teacher knows what they're doing, and that it's better that you just don't even think about it, just go do it, it's going to change you. Like I remember doing postures in martial arts where they'd have us stand in certain postures for really long periods of time, like where you're shaking and sweating, and you don't get to ask why. You find out later it's because they first have to change your body structure. They have to open up your meridians, but even the way your bones and your tendons align, that has to be changed before you can learn certain postures and certain moves and that kind of stuff. So we're going to do that today. I'm going to surgically open up this ancient secret that will help you change your destiny. There are different kinds of destiny, words for destiny. We only have one now. And that's because, as I talked about yesterday, over the past 2,000 years, we have been drilled into believing that there is one way, there is God's will. And we've been trained, whether you are religious or not, our society has been trained to teach you to be a good slave, and a good slave waits for instructions. What am I meant to do? This is very common. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Show me a sign. Now, I have nothing against signs. Don't get me wrong. Signs work. I have nothing against that. And that is part of, trying to connect yourself to your inner truth, your inner highest destiny. You can manifest signs for yourself. I also don't have a problem with the ancestors and the gods giving you signs, but this was not originally how our ancestors thought. And it's not, in my experience, the most powerful way to achieve your highest success, fulfillment, and destiny. It is not to wait around for something outside of you to come and tell you what you're supposed to do. You determine that. And we can talk about that, but that's a whole other subject that I've talked a lot about. So today we're going to be talking about, I'm going to throw out some different terms. You've heard me talk about WYRD. WYRD, WYRD. WYRD. That is, in my experience, the most profound concept when it comes to destiny. When it comes to, it teaches you everything. It teaches you what reality is. It teaches you what time is, space-time. It teaches you how your destiny is written. WYRD is a threefold concept. It deals with what we perceive as the past, the present, and the future. And within WYRD, you have the present moment. The present moment is everything. The past and the future are not real. They are illusions. The present is everything. This is why all meditation is about being in the moment. Somebody asked me last night about what is the mindset for being in the moment. And of course, being the asshole that I am, I sliced him to pieces, sort of, and said, what do you mean mindset? This is just being here right now with everything that you have, all of your feelings. And then when you are here with all of your feelings, you take conscious, constructive action towards what is your highest destiny. We're going to talk about that. It's easy for me to say that, but why is it that we play out these stories? Your parents, depending on your karma, your parents are your best friends or your worst enemies. I've talked about this before. I'll try and be as brief as possible. What is that show? I just had the thing in my head. I swear to God, this happens to me when I least appreciate it. Something star, anyway, pop star, whatever. Those music, there's a bunch of them now. American Idol. That's the one I remember. American Idol. American Idol, there will always be, at some point, if you watch enough, there will be the brilliant singer who is just beyond good. Every time that they sing, everybody's brought to tears. They are absolute masters and brilliant geniuses that bring all kinds of things just besides their singing talent. And they always lose. During the competition, 3/4 of the way in, they are the one that's rising to the top. Nobody can come close to them. They're just so untouchable and so amazing. And then at the final, last few competitive songs, they screw up the lyrics, or they miss something, or they just mess up so bad. And the judges say, I don't know what happened. I really wanted you to win, but because you messed up so badly, I have to give it to so-and-so. So so-and-so is a good singer, maybe a great singer. And so-and-so has in the audience, every time that they are there, they have their family, their brothers, their sisters, their mother, and their father, with the sign that says, "Go, Johnny, we love you." And the person who is the brilliant genius has nobody. They're out there by themselves. There's nobody there, and you find out they're adopted, and mother was a drug addict, and dad was an alcoholic, and they had this horrible tragedy, and singing is what's going to take them out of the muck, and but they just self-sabotage. And we are like that. We do that. Every human does that. So your parents are either your best friends or your worst enemies, depending on your karma. So those people who have the parents in the audience with the "Go Johnny," who as they were growing up were reflected back on their worth and their value. They were told, those are the kinds of people that when they have hard times, it's like, it's okay, I've been through this before and I'll get through it. It's because when they were little kids, their parents said, "Hey, Johnny, we love you the way you are. Yeah, you had a tough thing, but you know what? We believe in you. You can do it." That gets imprinted in you when you separate from your parents. You have this inner dialogue with yourself that says, I believe in you. You can do it. And you say things like, you can get through anything if you really want to. So those are the people who are benefiting from the positive karma, and their parents are representative of that. Positive meaning pleasant. Then there's the challenging karma, where you manifest parents in this life who do the opposite, who slice you at the legs every chance that they get, who aren't there for you, who teach you that you should be ashamed for wanting things. Who are you to think you should become something in this world? That is the challenging karma that a lot of us experience, and that creates a story within us as well. So instead of the story of, wow, I don't know why that person does that to me. I know who I am. And yep, I had a hard time, but I learned from it, and I pick myself up, and I get back, and I always succeed. That's one story that gets played out. The other story is the same thing, where somebody feels totally unworthy, and why did they even bother, and life doesn't do anything for them, and they're a victim of circumstance, and they live in a matrix anyway. That's their blah, blah, blah. That's a whole other story they create. And no matter what they tell themselves, no matter how many conscious affirmations they get, or how many times they go to Tony Robbins seminar. Nothing against Tony Robbins. If you can apply it, great. Most people can't. I don't know about most. I shouldn't say most. Many people can't. Probably the people who need it the most can't, because simply by trying to tell yourself that you're a winner when on an unconscious level you have been programmed to believe the story that you're not, your conscious mind doesn't have the power to override that. And so today we're going to be talking about how to program this gentleman. Recognize him from a previous King Kong movie? 2 billion-ton gorilla that's got his giant hand wrapped around you. Now, he loves you. This is the thing. This gorilla loves you and wants nothing but and he will destroy himself in order to protect you. As the planes are coming in and shooting bullets at him, he will hold you in his giant hand and he will die. And he'll fall off the Empire State Building to his death in an attempt to protect you. If he has been programmed to support the idea that you don't deserve happiness, success, whatever it is, he will kill you to preserve that story, regardless of what you tell him. He doesn't speak English. It's not true. He actually does speak English, but I'm going to show you how to take that King Kong within you and turn it around so that he plays out the story that will bring you the happy ending. So in order to do that, we have to talk about WYRD and we have to talk about different kinds of karma. And then I'm going to share with you the one technique. I've been sharing it, so it's nothing you haven't heard before, but it's a powerful, very powerful technique that our ancestors understood. They lived by this code. And Christianity came in 2,000 years ago in an attempt to create large empires and control people. We've talked about this already. They programmed human beings to disconnect and completely change the story around so that you are the helpless slave who waits for God to come and tell you what you are meant to do. Oh, God says you are meant to go and feed the poor and cut your legs off and, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there were guys that, would go and, chop their wing-wang off because they felt it was God's will that they, and of course all that did was make it worse because they still had testicles which gave them a sex drive and they had nothing to operate with. I mean, what kind of hell is that? That's horrible. Horrible way to live. But that's what Christianity gave us. Our ancestors had a different understanding. I've shared about it, but I'm going to share you specifically why and how. So we need to talk about first WYRD. WYRD is, in my estimation, is as I said, the most profound understanding of how we create our lives and how we get this experience that life is doing things to us. We get this experience that there is a destiny out there that takes a hold of us and pulls us towards something. And we have a word that we use now, which people mistake for WYRD, but it's only one aspect of WYRD, and that is the word karma. Karma, by the way, does not mean sin. People use the word karma as though it means sin. Oh, that guy has a lot of karma, man. Well, listen, everything is karma. My beard, the fact that I'm balding up here, the fact that right now I'm enjoying some success and some enjoyment, I'm enjoying some good health, those are all results of karma. So karma is neither good nor bad, it just is. It's the result of, we're going to talk about it. It's the result of actions that you take. That's all it is. And karma is what our ancestors called skuld. And we use the word all the time. In English, the word in Norse was skuld. But the K in Norse, the Anglo-Saxons, the K would be softened into like a CH or an SH sound, which is why you have two words like skipper and ship. They're both the same word. It's just one is a Norse pronunciation and one is an Anglo-Saxon. So the Anglo-Saxon pronunciation was schuld. We know it today as should. You should do this, you should do that. There's this feeling of obligation. But it also, like if we're talking about something in the hypothetical, well, if I throw the ball up, it should come down, meaning that is its destiny. That if you do this action of throwing it up in the air, the understood reaction to that is that it will fall down. It should fall down. That is its schuld. The karma of the ball getting thrown up in the air is that it will come back down again. So we're going to be talking specifically about schuld, karma. So karma, there are different, the Vedics, the East Indians, have created a very deep and profound science of this concept of WYRD, and specifically the third aspect of what our ancestors considered the future, which is a probable future. It should happen. You should do that. It's a probable future. It's not written in stone. But we experience it as though it is. And I'm going to share with you how you may be on this path where you're experiencing this storyline where you feel like you cannot control the outcome. That is your destiny. And so we're going to be talking about how you as a human being, because you have incarnated, you bring with you this thing called Sanchita Karma. It means bunched up. So you have a bunched up schuld. So let's talk about schuld again so you understand what karma really is. So from our ancestors' perspective, there were 3 giantesses, which it's important that we understand that they're giantesses because giantesses are more powerful than your average goddess. Giantesses are forces of nature that cannot be manipulated or changed. You can only, I'll say this, and this could change, but the best that you can get from these giantesses is to have them explain to you what you can do to alter your own destiny. They will not do it for you. They will not alter your destiny. They will weave it, but they will not alter it. You, however, can alter it. There is a storyline that you are weaving, and it's one of 2 storylines. It's either the storyline of the Greek tragedy, which, as you know, if you know anything about Greek tragedy like Oedipus, it's that there's some fatal flaw in the human being, pride, ignorance, something like that, which, and in the beginning there's a prophecy, the seer will tell them that you're going to have sex and kill your own mother, have sex with your own mother and kill your own father or something like that. And of course we go, no, I am never going to do that. And then you spend your whole life making sure that you never do that. And all of those things that you did to try and prevent that are the very things that create the situation. And so we have that. It was destiny. We couldn't avoid it. But it was your hubris or your whatever it was that created that. That is one storyline which we play out, and this is connected to what's called Sanchita Karma. But there's another even, if you want to get even more specific about it, it's called Prarabdha Karma. Prarabdha Karma is the karmas, the schuld, that has now come to the forefront of your soul's evolution, and this is the karma that has to play itself out in this life. Now I'm here to tell you that the Prarabdha Karma is going to do one of two things. It is going to force you to live out the Greek tragedy, or it's going to give you an opportunity to live out the hero. So you have the Greek tragedy or the hero's tale, where the hero overcomes all of the obstacles and slays the evil dragon, which is your Prarabdha Karma, and saves the princess, which is your Shakti, which is your power to achieve and experience your greatest satisfaction and joy. Because the princess represents your ability to reproduce, your creativity, to have children and, all that kind of stuff, which will create the new king who will bring in the new, you see, so the hero's tale or the Greek tragedy. You have to play out one or both of those. Excuse me, Freudian slip. You have to play out one of those. And most of us play out the Greek tragedy. And so I'm going to explain to you how the Greek tragedy comes about and how you end up like Oedipus, if I remember the story right, having sex with your mother and killing your father, when that was the last thing you wanted to do. How does that happen? Because they have to be played out. And in order for all that to happen, we need this character, which is this guy. Your unconscious mind, who holds you in his giant hand, who has immense strength. And once he gets his mind set on what to do, nothing in the universe can stop him. He is the force that will give you the power to either live out your hero's tale or to unwittingly and unwillingly live out your Greek tragedy. And I haven't even yet told you what the thing is. So again, I'm going to be telling you a very simple technique that our ancestors did all the time. It was part of their mindset, and they didn't realize it because, lucky for them, it was a part of their mindset, their culture, their religion, their belief, their, what drove them, that they didn't have to think about it. They knew that it was challenging, but they didn't have to think about whether or not, should I or shouldn't I do this in order to create your best life. So, all right, so the stage is set. You see that? We have this WYRD. Now let's talk about WYRD again so that you understand, because we're going to combine these concepts. Sometimes when you talk about karma by itself is not a complete subject. Karma is only one of the three aspects of WYRD. It is the future debt. And in our modern society, we've become focused on karma. And we don't understand that karma is a result, in itself is a result of something. So we see it as its own force. And, especially, there's a lot of people in Hindu society that just take on that same sort of Christian type attitude where you carry your cross and, I have my karma and I have to live it out and there's nothing I can do to change it. And, suffering is part of that. That is my karma. That is a misunderstanding of how this whole thing works. But again, that is the power of the unconscious mind. The power of this tale. This storyline, the Greek tragedy storyline, is incredibly powerful. That's why we watch it. So, WYRD. WYRD is the present moment. The ever-unfolding immediacy is one of the translations of it. Verdandi, immediacy, right here and right now. Unfolding, continuing. It's the only thing that exists. in this continuous now that is unfolding every nanosecond. It's not, one big chunk. It's tiny little nanoseconds, string of nanoseconds. Each one of those nanoseconds are potential new timelines, and we string them together. In the ever unfolding present, we make choices, we adopt beliefs, and we take actions. Those things, because beliefs and choices are actions, not feelings. You notice I'm not talking about your feelings. We have mistaken feelings with actions and we fused them together. We have feelings, we take an action. Feelings will not destroy your hero's tale. But the beliefs that you choose to adopt, if you choose to adopt a fearful attitude, if you choose to adopt a cynical attitude, if you choose to adopt an attitude of I'm going to get mine and take it from him, these are attitudes and beliefs that you choose to adopt from the universe's perspective. It's an energetic choice. It's an energetic action. And once it becomes an action, then you are responsible for it. And then it becomes your shuld, becomes your karma. So the way that happens is every time that you make these assumptions, beliefs, actions, that creates a past called WYRD, which means origins. And from that earth that you've created, that you now stand on, that WYRD will create your shuld. Your past creates your future. Your present creates your past, which creates your future. Now, the past is what this guy is basically made of. It is WYRD that programs him. This is why, being in the moment is so important. People ask me about death. What happens after death? And lots of times I say, who cares? It doesn't change. What happens after death is the same thing that happens here. It's just a different, experience. You're not in the body. But it's the same thing. So people again, here Christianity comes along and says, adopt this, they force feed you this nonsense, and then they say, just wait until you die. And, so you wait your whole life to die so you can go to heaven because you accepted Jesus, who unwillingly died for you and took away your guilt and all that fucking bullshit. Right? But our ancestors had a different way of understanding. So let's go to that. But before we do that, it's important that you understand that you've been programmed to think a certain way. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how independent you think you are. We have all been programmed by our Prarabdha Karma, by that bunched up WYRD that is now set to be played out in your physical life. You can't change that. So let me just say that. You can't change that. The only thing that you can do is change how you respond to it. And if you respond to it from the hero's story, then you will burn it off and it will be like rocket fuel that will push you into your higher dimensions. If you resist it, just like in the Greek tragedy, the very things that you do to try and prevent what the seer said was going to happen to you are the very things that create what you were trying to avoid. When you resist your Prarabdha Karma, then it owns you. Just like in this picture, it has you in its palm. And then no matter what you want, you end up playing out the Greek tragedy. So our ancestors had I've shared about this, I'm going to share it again. Our ancestors had this understanding that their future was not set in stone, that it was up to them to create their future. It was up to them to create their destiny, to seize their destiny. This is why, way back when, as we were heading towards the age of Pisces, our ancestors became more warlike, because that idea of seizing your opportunity was translated into conquering other people and conquering other lands, which was, they didn't realize it, but they were being influenced by, the Kali Yuga that was on its way. But their understanding was that it was up to them to seize the day, carpe diem, to seize the day and to create their destiny. And they knew it would be challenging, and they knew that they might die in the process, which is why our ancestors had the belief that if you die in battle, you go to Valhalla, which is really when you die going after your greatest happiness, your greatest joy, you will achieve your ultimate fulfillment, enlightenment, Valhalla, heaven, use whatever word you want. They understood that nobody needed to explain that to them. Maybe they needed to be motivated, and so the stories of the gods and the story of Thor and the story of, whatever would motivate them to go out and achieve their own desired destiny. Now, many of you listening to me, you have your own desired destiny, and you probably tell me, I've been trying, but it doesn't work, and no matter what I do, and without going into the whole thing about finding your true soul desire and overcoming your unconscious resistance and self-sabotage. You've heard me talk about it. I won't go into that. Even that knowledge will not give you the power to overcome your Prarabdha Karma. You can't. You have to use it. You cannot avoid it. You cannot destroy it. You created it. You have to use it. It's the only way out. And, I've known some people, some very powerful spiritual practitioners. Got a couple of them in my mind right now, who have said things like, I don't believe in karma. And these were people, one guy in particular had some pretty snazzy spiritual abilities, which, as you know, is karma in and of itself. That's why I don't promote it. I don't care about it. Again, I've given you the example. Somebody becomes a great healer, and they have the ability to heal millions of people with their gaze or with their touch, and people laud them as this great healer. But that person, although they may be doing a wonderful thing and should be proud, I suppose, happy for that gift, and should enjoy freely giving that gift, it is their Prarabdha Karma. It means that they have harmed people in past lives, and every person that they heal is somebody who they owe a debt to because they harmed them in some way. I mean, I have to apply it to myself. If I'm a successful teacher and a lot of people's lives have been changed, there must be some karmic debt that I have with you. Otherwise, my words would not have an effect. There's a lot of people my words do not have an effect on. They write and tell me what a fucked up loser, asshole, egotistical, So obviously, apparently I don't have any Prarabdha Karma with them. But if you hear me and you go, oh my God, well, there's some karma there. That doesn't mean you get to come to my house and ask for $1,000, but it's nothing that I can walk away and feel proud of. I mean, I can't really take pride in that. I suppose I can take some pride in it because by following through with my hero's tale, if I'm doing it correctly, then I'm going to have a positive effect on you, and it will help me as well. But going back to my friend who I'm thinking about, he had some pretty snazzy spiritual gifts, and he was one who said, I don't believe in karma. I don't believe in astrology. Most astrology is wrong, so I don't blame him for that. Most astrology that I hear and read is off. And I'm just barely beginning to scratch the surface of that, boy. But he would say he doesn't believe in karma, and then I won't tell you what happened to him, but he got some serious Prarabdha Karma. And it didn't surprise me, because I saw it coming. He was somebody who wanted people to love and adore him. Now, there's nothing wrong with that either. I want to be loved and adored. We all want to be loved and adored. I want that too. But he wanted it so badly that he allowed himself to be seen as a bodhisattva, that he had achieved enlightenment and that he was an enlightened master. He made up some lies about his history. And the only reason I know that they're lies is because I know the teachers that he trained with. And the things that he said that they said about him, I know for a fact they did not say. Now, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that either, because in ancient traditions, lots of times it's just sort of understood that a teacher of a new sect, a new discipline, in order to, you mythologize yourself a little bit. I try not to do that, but some of them do. That's an old tactic as well. And that's sort of understood. And if you do it right, if the person does it consciously, they create a mythology about themselves that they know isn't real, but they're choosing to do it because it's actually the mythology of the power that's coming through them. It's not them, but they realize that they're the symbol of that, so they identify it. That allows, if I say this right, mnemonic device for the students to latch on with their unconscious. Then they learn and they grow. But for many, it becomes an ego thing where they are trying to resist their Prarabdha Karma through creating some false identity that they're trying to escape themselves. And then, of course, it comes back and it slaps you in the ass. And this guy right here, if he gets a hold of you and he squeezes really hard, it's going to hurt. So there is nobody who is in the physical body who is not being held in the hand of their Prarabdha Karma. Nobody. If they have been released of that, they are no longer in the physical body. They are a spirit. If they are here, I don't care what they say about themselves. I don't care how powerful or how brilliant or deep they are. If they have flesh wrapped around them, they have Prarabdha Karma, and they have to play out one of the two stories. They either have to play out the Greek tragedy or they have to play out the hero story. All right, so hopefully if you've been watching, we've been building up, you kind of have an understanding where I'm coming from. I'm going to share with you a technique I've already shared with you. But I want you to understand the power that it has, because it is true. When people feel they cannot escape their bad luck, it is true, they can't. They can only use it. Let me give you an example before I go any further. So let's say somebody has a karmic destiny to kill their brother. They're born with it. I mean, like, you can see that kind of stuff if you're skilled enough. You can see that kind of stuff in somebody's chart. I don't have that ability, so don't ask. In their astrology chart, astrology.thunderwizard.com. So let's say it is destined for this person to kill their brother. And that is because in a previous life, their brother killed them. And as they were dying, they created a resentment and they said, I want to kill him. I'm going to kill him in the next life. And they take that with them in the next life. The other guy, as he dies, he feels bad. Oh my God, I killed that guy. That was wrong with me. He comes in with a predisposed guilt. Now, both of them have their Prarabdha Karma, which will play itself out in the Greek tragedy, where the brother will end up murdering his brother. Now, if the individual whose fate it was to kill his brother, if that person is living the hero's tale, meaning that he is living in such a way where he is conscious of all of his feelings. Because if you bring that kind of karma with you, it's going to create some discomfort. There's always going to be some static in there which you experience as uncomfortable feelings, rageful feelings. I don't know why I want to kill that guy. You don't know why you feel that. I had that experience with my spirit fighting teacher. And, towards the end of our association, if I take on a teacher, if a teacher takes me on and I become their student, I am the respectful student. I follow all the rules, even if, I understand they're human and they do stupid things and they ask me to do things, that I do it because I want to learn, and that's what students do. And I take that on and I do that. And I was working with my teacher, and I would blow up at him. And it felt like I couldn't control myself, which is, I have that ability. I have the ability, if I'm with a teacher, I have the ability, no matter how I'm feeling, to be the student, the good student. I know how to do that. I have that discipline. But it would just, out of nowhere, I would just blow up at him like he was, like my wife or something. I just, and I'd catch myself and I'd go, man, what is going on? And after a couple of those times, he would say, listen, I'm telling you, you do it again, he was threatening. If you do something like that again, you're out. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that. I really apologize. But it's because our karma had come to an end. My debt to him had come to an end, and his debt to me had come to an end. And this is how you know that karmic relationships are over. One or both of them will start to act very irrationally. It's usually the experience that one acts out totally irrationally and the other person is trying to be rational, but there's nothing they can say, nothing they can do. The other person is just determined to destroy everything, can't hear what you say, misinterprets everything. That means it's over. It means that the debt has been paid. There's no more magnetic attraction between you. It's now become a repellent. It's time to move on. We had reached that point, and there was one day where I was experiencing this guy, and I couldn't stand him anymore. But I felt like I had a responsibility to him, and I said, you know what? If I had I just wish he would go away. This is to myself. I said, I just wish, if I could have it my own way, I just wish that he would go away, because I was not going to break my oath to him. Because as a student, I made an oath to him, and at least I felt I did. I mean, there was nothing formal, but I made an oath to him to be his student and to all that. And that's exactly what happened. One day, out of the blue, he just disappeared. Now, I know why he did it, and I won't get into why he did it, but it was, he just disappeared. And he didn't say anything to me. And we would sometimes go for weeks without communicating, and so I didn't notice anything different. I'd send him a couple emails, and nothing came back. And then after a while, I'm like, what happened to him? So I contacted a fellow student. I said, hey, where's, Sifu so-and-so? Well, I wasn't supposed to tell you, but I'm like, what? Tell me. And then I find out that he has decided that he has cut me off and I no longer exist. So this is how Prarabdha Karma comes out. So back to the story of the two brothers. So let's say that the brother who has the Prarabdha Karma to kill his brother what will happen is the brother whose karma it is to be killed will play out the storyline, and he will do or say something to provoke the other brother. If the other brother doesn't respond, the one whose karma it is to be killed will irrationally keep doing things so that the brother will be provoked into killing him. Now, if he follows that Prarabdha Karma and kills him, he has now created a whole new cycle of the Greek tragedy that he must live out in another lifetime. He will have to play that out in another lifetime, and then the other one is going to kill him. And it goes on and on and on. And I'm here to tell you, they do not have the conscious ability. Just in and of their intellect, they don't have the conscious ability to change that storyline. And this is what happens. Most souls, we call them young souls, they play this out and they create this tragedy. Just look at the world outside of you. People want to get on my case about, whatever, and they look at how horrible things are. I'm like, yeah, that's young souls learning how to play out, how to change the storyline from the Greek tragedy to the hero's tale, where he slays the dragon and saves the princess. So let's say now that this brother who's being provoked, he has been living a spiritual life. He has been doing ritual specifically. He's been doing ritual, mantra, and he has been hacking into his unconscious. Now, he can't get rid of his Prarabdha Karma, his impulses. He can't get rid of those self-destructive impulses. He can't get rid of them. He can feel them, but then he needs power to be able to act contrary to that. This comes through ritual, ceremony, sacrifice, meditation, energy work. These things provide the ability to change the storyline. The karma itself doesn't change, but the storyline that he plays out changes because he now has the ability to step back and see what is going on, and he can make a different choice. And he makes a different choice, which then changes him, puts him on the timeline, which then propels him towards the hero's tale. Now, as he goes through his life, his Prarabdha Karma will still be getting in front of him, trying to get him back to the Greek tragedy. So he needs to continue to do the spiritual work, continue to do the ritual, the mantra, the ceremony, in order to hack into his unconscious so that he can have the ability and the awareness to make the choices that will propel him or her towards the hero's journey. I know this because I've lived it out. I've lived it out. I told you I lived it out with my teacher. I mean, it wasn't that intense. There was a point where my physical brother, I realized there was one point where he was provoking me, and I became aware he wanted me to kill him. That's when I stopped having any contact with my family. At that point, I said, I'm out of here. I am not going to get pulled into this. So who knows what karma happened for him to do that and us to do that, but I chose against that. I'm the only one in my family that has survived. That, my parents are both dead. My dad was an alcoholic, drank himself to death. My mother was a overprotective, codependent, really, really, she loved us, but got a brother, I won't get into it, who's 5 years older than me, and I wouldn't want to be him. I love my sister, but she's got this stuff that she just can't seem to get past. I'm the only one that survived. And I survived because I took contrary actions to my Prarabdha Karma. Maybe not perfectly, but I can look back. I'm 55 now. I can look back and I can see. I deviated from that storyline. I pulled out of that storyline. I'm healthy, I'm happy, but I still have a lot of those crazy feelings. The Prarabdha Karma is still in me, which means today, I am doing today what I tell you guys to do. I did not want to come on here today. I am facing a choice that I believe that I'm going to make to drastically change my life. And those kinds of changes are challenging and frightening and difficult. And I took a nap this afternoon, and for some reason, whenever I take a nap in the afternoon, when I wake up, I always feel horrible. I mean, I hate myself. I wake up with just such, horrible feelings towards myself. I don't know where that came from, but it's always been like that. I try not to nap in the afternoon because I hate waking up afterwards. And I woke up today and I just, oh my God, I felt so horrible and such a piece of crap, and I'm a worthless this and that. And, I said, what do you do? What would I tell my students? I would say, live your Aruda. My Aruda is this. I am living my Aruda right now. My Aruda is to come before you as the shamanic warrior and to talk at you on a regular basis, and to, feels like I'm just sort of letting things fall out of my face, but to expound on a regular basis. That is seen from my Aruda, which is my projection. My projection is Mars in the third house in Libra in Swati Padatu. If you know anything about astrology, you know what I just said. If you look at what all that is and where Rahu is in my chart and what he's doing and all that, this is my Aruda. When I play out my reflection, which is not who I am, it's an illusion. By the way, this is an illusion. What you are experiencing of me is the illusion of me. It is not me. But it is the illusion that I must play out in order to not only help everybody that I can, but to propel myself towards my highest destiny. So this is important to understand. When you take action towards your highest destiny, it may be something that feels totally foreign to you. You may not want to do it. You may not like doing it. You may not understand it. You may feel like a fraud. And that's because we do live in an illusion. We live in Maya. This is a play. And you, as the character in this play, have the choice to play out one of two storylines: the Greek tragedy or the hero's tale. In my experience, this is just a side note. By the way, if you want to know what your Aruta is, your projection, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. In my experience, the Aruda, the reflection, literally the illusion that is presented to the world through you, which you do whether you realize it or not. This is important to understand. This isn't something, it's not a lie you've created. It happens. It's like light bounces off of me, and what you're seeing on your screen is the light that has bounced off of me onto your screen. I'm not this. That's just the light, the reflection. And it's your Aruda is the same way. When you walk into a room, people see your reflection. And in my case, when I walk in the room, people see me as a shamanic warrior. Whether I like it or not, that's how they see me. If I try and be something else, they get upset and they don't like me. If I portray my Aruda, then people tend to like me and want to help me succeed. Same with you. But I don't have to feel like it. And today I didn't feel like it. When I came to set this up, the last thing I felt like doing was pretending to be this shamanic warrior. I didn't want to do that. But I've learned that when I'm feeling that way, one of the most healthy things I can do, which will also bring me success, especially if I'm feeling bad and I do the opposite of that, which is my Aruda, that's when the most success comes to me. So, anyway, I'm kind of babbling here. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll come back and I will take questions if you have them. If you're new to the channel, I haven't even looked on it now, but please do not dump your opinion. I'm not interested in cheerleaders. This is not a free-for-all back and forth. To save me time, I just want to look at the questions. So write question and then write a well-thought-out question so that I can read it and understand it. And if you're just dumping your opinion, I'll probably mute you just so that I don't miss other people's questions. All right, so that's it. I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Okay, so maybe we're talking about karma. We should talk about rune readings. runereadings.thunderwizard.com. If you want to get a 9-world rune reading, see how your WYRD is playing itself out in your life, and the 9 aspects of your being. All right, so let's see. Let's take a look at some questions. Milan Lazarevic, welcome. I think you must be new to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Please write question before your question so that I can see it. Otherwise, I may miss it. And he asks, is enlightenment the highest goal? So spend some time watching my channel because I talk about enlightenment. You and I may have 2 different ideas of what enlightenment is. The short answer to your question is no. The highest goal is living at your deepest fulfillment, having all of your deepest desires of your soul fulfilled. It's the only reason you incarnate. You incarnate to fulfill your desires. It has nothing to do with not achieving enlightenment or making mistakes or bad karma. It's got nothing to do with that. I haven't gotten into it. It's a deep subject, but your Prarabdha Karma, the negative things like wanting to kill somebody or whatever, those are the results of actions you've taken in past lives against your highest desires. It's not actions you've taken that were sinful or wrong. When you divert yourself from your highest desires, you operate from your fear center. You operate from your reptilian brainstem, fight or flight, tend or befriend, which is a short ass kissing to get what you want, codependent, living for other people's approval. If when you live, which is just as violent as stealing from somebody, by the way. Being a people pleaser is just as violent as being a thief. It's called being an energy vampire. It's the same thing. From an energetic perspective, it has the same karma. So when you do not go after your highest desires, then you get trapped in that which creates these cycles of Prarabdha Karma. So the short answer is no, enlightenment is not the highest goal. Enlightenment is totally misunderstood. I've talked about it. If you want, go onto my channel. Let me just say it again. Learn how to search within my channel. Don't just search YouTube. Every device is different. Learn how to search within my YouTube channel and type in enlightenment, and you'll find out what I teach, what enlightenment is. Dean Nevins' question, should I still close down when doing the 30 Saj meditation and mudra? So, you don't see it here, but in qigong.thunderwizard.com, which in my experience is the most powerful energy practice that I can teach safely, that I've seen taught publicly, which will give you power and strength to be able to be conscious of what your Prarabdha Karma is and to be able to take contrary action towards your hero's tale. He's talking about the close down, which is done at the end of the Qigong routine, which I suggest for anything. You go onto my channel, you can find the close down on there as well. You should close down when doing any kind of energy meditation. So Thurisaj meditation and mudra, and you can look on my channel for that as well. Thurisaj meditation. Go searching for that on my channel. You can, it's always good to close down. So short answer, yes, you should close down. Bentley Sweet question. What's the reason for the Trinity? So we're not Christians here. Okay, so is that a question you should be asking me? What's the reason for the Trinity, specifically the Holy Spirit, to make Christianity spiritual? Well, I don't know if what you're saying is right or wrong. I can tell you what I know. From the perspective of the Bible, there is no such thing as the Trinity. That is not a biblical concept. That was something that was imposed onto the Bible by Europeans who converted to the Catholic form of Christianity, the imperial Roman form of Christianity. And they created this concept of the Trinity. Reason being is because the Trinity is something that is within pre-Christian European. It's not just European, it's pre-Christian indigenous spirituality oftentimes will have a Trinity. Taoist has heaven, earth, and man, the three ones, the three dantians, the three selves. Norse polytheism has Odin, Vili, and Ve, who are seen as brothers, but they're actually a trinity. So the only reason that Christianity has a trinity is because the European mindset can't function without it. And I shouldn't say the European mindset. The spiritual mind can't function without it. So they imposed it on there in order to, on an unconscious level, for it to make sense to them. Joshua 6E, please write question before you ask a question. He says, what would you say if I said I believe I have bad karma? I wouldn't say anything. That's your belief. That's not a question. What would I say? I wouldn't say anything. If you ask me, do you have bad karma? How do I get out of my bad karma? If you ask me that question, I'm going to say that karma is neither good nor bad, and that karma is just simply the result of choices and actions that you've made either in this lifetime or previous lifetimes. You're just living it out. It's your debt, your schuld. And if you want to change that understanding so that you don't feel a victim to your bad karma, then I suggest that you watch more of my videos. Okay, let's continue on. Okay. There's this whole thing, by the way, I won't even mention his name. If people come on here looking to start shit and they think it's cute to write these weird things and they're abusive, YouTube will automatically pull you out and hide your comment. I don't even do it. But when I see it, then I just hide them from the channel. They can watch the channel if they want, but they won't be able to write stupid things anymore. I don't know if it's a thing. I don't know if it's a thing all over the YouTube or if it's, if I'm being targeted. I don't know. Probably the former. Jay Bird, question, what point do feelings dislike leading to hate? Okay, so please, if you're going to write a question, write it, that in a way that makes sense. That doesn't make any sense. Have a subject, an object, and a verb, and you don't have that. Is this what you tried to say? What point do feelings of dislike leading to hate? What point will it start to change your future? So maybe you asked this early on before I said that living in the moment and creating your schuld has nothing to do with the feelings that you have. The feelings that you have are your Prarabdha Karma, trying to provoke you into acting out or choosing to believe in certain ways, choosing to change your mindset in certain ways. Your feelings don't create your karma unless you act on them. And acting on them includes choosing to be afraid, choosing to adopt belief systems like false beings of light steal my energy and put me into a computer program. That is a choice to believe that based on the feeling you have of being a victim. So when you make that choice, then you create a karma. And then that karma becomes your debt, which has to play itself out. And again, just because you created a challenging schuld, a challenging debt for yourself, a challenging karma, you can still let that fuel you, because then again, if you are conscious and you do the secret, which I'm going to share with you about how to be conscious, then that negative karma will propel you towards your hero's tale. So let's just do it now. So here it is. You're looking for the one thing, the one ancient thing that our ancestors did to change their karma. It is to make a vow to the gods. Now, I'm not saying doing a ritual and an offering. I'm not saying pray to the gods. Those are all things that you can do. All right, you don't have to use the word gods if you don't want. Whatever, Buddha, even if you believe in Jesus, if you do this, it'll work. I don't. But even if you make a vow to Jesus, if that's who you choose to believe in, if you make a vow that you will die to achieve your deepest desires, that has power to shift you into the hero's tale. If, however, you adopt, this is a choice, it's a karma, if you choose to believe in the Christianized tale of waiting for God to tell you what to do, then you will live out your Greek tragedy. So the idea is that you know that you are destined for a Greek tragedy because you have Prarabdha Karma, past life karma, which has now queued itself up and is ready to be played out in your lifetime now. Because that is here, ready to play itself out now, you will be pushed like a river, pushed towards certain experiences. And then you will, if you are not conscious, you will automatically be provoked into acting, which includes believing certain ways, which will create that Greek tragedy, and you will feel like you're going down the rapids and you can't stop. Anywhere at all in your life, if you become aware of what your deepest soul desire is, which is the thing that gives you the greatest joy. For me, it's surfing. I'll just tell you again. I am scared to death about what I'm going to share with you. So you should know, guys, that I live the same things that you do, and what I teach, I have to live. So I am this close to making a huge life change. And I've come to the conclusion that the United States no longer has what I want. The only thing that gives me joy, my deepest soul desire, I shouldn't say the only thing, but the thing that gives me my greatest joy is surfing. I've been surfing off and on for 40 years. I mean, there were big breaks, you know. But I've surfed up and down the coast. I've surfed in a couple different places around the world. You know, when I was a kid and a young man, we used to just get in the car and drive down Baja. And you could just drive on down Baja along the coast and surf these empty waves. And, you know, California was a fun place to be. And then it got really crowded. And then there's, you know, surfers can be real assholes. I have this little stretch of beach that I love for a bunch of different reasons. And one of them is because I can always find little waves, little sections of the beach to surf where I'm by myself. Now, sometimes the waves aren't perfect, but I'm by myself, and I like that. But if I really think about it, if I'm not in my little 2 mile, it's not even like square miles, it's just like 2 miles in this direction and maybe, you know, about as far as I am, 3 blocks in. As long as I'm in that area, I'm happy. You get me out of that and I have no happiness. There's nothing here for me. My partner died almost a year ago. My parents are dead. I have really no connection with my family. I don't have any friends anymore. Most of my friends are all married, have kids and all that. There's really nothing keeping me here. My business is this. I can do this anywhere in the world as long as I have internet. So I am this close to making the decision to move to Australia. And I'm going to make that decision in November. I am planning, I haven't made the, you know, I'm telling you because if I tell you, I'll have to go ahead and do it. But I'm looking at going for a 2-week vacation in November for that purpose of just seeing what it's like. I already know, I've looked at it enough that it looks like perfection for me, my fantasy. And it's cheaper there. The American dollar goes a lot farther, and there's just really no reason for me not to. It's a smart decision to do it. But it means that I'm going to die to everything that I know myself to be. I'm going to be literally saying goodbye and burying Michael William Denny as I've known him up to this point. I'm not going to take anything with me. I'm not going to take any mementos. I'm going to take I'm going to have to take some surfboards. But I don't have to. I could buy surfboards there if I want. You know, bring just enough to start a life. Again, all I have to do is bring my wallet. I don't even, you know, because all my money, you know, is automatically dealt with. I can just use my Visa debit for everything. So it scares the crap out of me. I'm saying goodbye to my old life. But it's because the way the storyline is playing out in my life is that if I chose to keep resisting, because I really kind of feel like I've been pushed to the edge. There's no place else for me to go except out into the ocean. I can't go in any direction. You know, I don't feel like I can. I don't feel comfortable, and I have all kinds of reasons why. I mean, Los Angeles is ugly, and the surfers in the Southern California above. There's really no place for me to go. But now in my chart with my Aruda, if you go deep under and you look at the nakshatras, which are the star constellations underneath the signs and the houses, then there's the star constellations under there, and it creates a multi-layered thing. When you get deep under there, Rahu is gaining strength, and Rahu is this, among other things, is the internet. Rahu is in charge of my gains in this life, and Rahu is underneath the surface, stimulating the Mars in my Aruda, my warrior. Again, if you want any of that information, go here to astrology.thunderwizard.com. And Rahu's direction is southwest. And if you take a ruler and you go southwest from Los Angeles, you smack dab run into where I want to go. Queensland, Australia. So that's me taking action on that, because if I don't, if I operate out of fear of change, because in my head, I won't know anybody. I'll be starting all by myself, but I'm by myself now. So what difference does it make? I've done that 3 or 4 times in my life anyway. If I stay in my little bubble where I feel safe and I don't move out of it, then I can feel I'm going to start creating some of that self-centered, frightened, stuff, which will propel me down the path of the Greek tragedy, which misery and pain and all that. And I'm 55. And as healthy and strong as I am, I cannot deny that old age and infirmity are coming for me. Maybe they won't get to me as fast as they get to other people, but it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And now is the time for me to live out my greatest fantasy, which is to surf my balls off in uncrowded waves, so that's how I'm doing. Now, what I haven't done yet is I haven't made the vow to the gods. And when I get back from my trip, I'm predicting that I will then make my vow. And I will do a ritual, and I will tell the gods that I am going to, and whatever it is I'm going to do, move to Australia, become this, and I may have some different ideas. The other thing I can do is that one thing I don't feel motivated to do here is to teach group classes. And that's something that I've always done. I don't feel motivated to teach drumming, which is something I've always done. I don't feel motivated to teach spirit fighting classes, which I've always done. And I think that I need to be in a place of power, a place of the ancestors, where I can start doing that. And I think that may be, we'll find out, that may be the place for me to start doing that. Start playing music again. Start playing flutes and stuff like that. Some place where I don't have to be hiding on the edge of the ocean, on the edge of the United States, just barely on the edge of the world here, where I can turn around and go into the forest and go and enjoy the wilderness, and I don't have to watch my wonderful forests die, because they are. Forests in the West are starting to die because of global warming. So I am doing what I tell you guys you have to do. I'm living it, and I'm sharing this with you because everything in me wants to not do that. I had the moment of inspiration where I felt like, oh my God, yes, and I wept. I found the answer. This is where, and then the resistance kicked in, and I'm in it. It's like walking through mud. But I've done this enough to know that the path is clear, and if it kills me to do it, so be it. Better to die in battle than to die of old age and illness. All right, so let's see if there's any more questions here. I guess what I didn't finish saying was that when you make the vow to the gods, once you know what it is your soul desire is, and you know that there's action you have to take to achieve it. like me, moving to another country or moving to another state or getting married or getting divorced or quitting your job or whatever it is that's a big deal to you that you don't want to get out of your safety bubble. But your insides are saying, I belong over there. The thing to do is to not then wait for the sign, wait for the money. Well, if I'm meant to do this, then the money will come. Doesn't work like that. You make a vow to the universe. For me, I like to use the word the gods. I make a vow to the gods. And I declare to the gods that I vow on pain of death that I am going to do this, that, and the other thing. Then all of the challenges that come up are challenges to be overcome. They are not signs that I'm going down the wrong path. The fear, the anxiety, the difficulty, the inconvenience, the whatever. They are things that you have vowed to fight. They are the dragon that your hero has vowed to fight. And the princess that you are saving is your own soul desire, which is Venus. Venus is the princess. You're saving the princess, which is your own soul desire. You're battling the dragon, which is your own reptilian mindset, literally, and your unconscious resistance. Now, as you know, your unconscious resistance is not something. Your unconscious resistance is not somebody to screw around with. He's far more powerful than you, and he can crush you. So you have to reprogram him. The way to reprogram him is through ritual. Ritual and ceremony. When you do ritual and ceremony, that gorilla goes, what? And he watches what you're doing. And if he sees you saying, I vow to the gods, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing, he goes, and he now has to reprogram himself, which can be a problem and be challenging. But you are now reprogramming him to pick you up and put you at the top of the mountain. He will make that happen for you. As long as he understands that that is what is truly best for you, he will protect you against all of the onslaughts that come at you. It's not necessarily something you can do overnight. Sometimes it is. Sometimes, for me, there have been times when before I even knew what I was doing, I did exactly that. And I said to the universe, I refuse to feel this way. I refuse this. I refuse that. I am going to do this, 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 and this. And I'm telling you, I'll die doing it. I remember saying that, which completely shifted me and got me where I am now. I remember the day that I did that. Now, I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I was just so fed up with being miserable. And my way of dealing with that is I get angry. That's how I deal with it. However you deal with it is how you deal with it. But I do know that it has to be a vow that you will die to accomplish what you say your soul wants to accomplish. And then the universe will find the resources, will give you the motivation. When you have all of the Prarabdha Karma, the feelings of fear and anxiety and self-doubt and shame, most of us are ashamed. I'm feeling that. I woke up today feeling so crappy about myself. Feeling so shameful. That's Prarabdha Karma. They're feelings. But when you take the action like I am today, I'm living out my Aruda, and I'm telling you what I'm doing, which means that if I change my mind, I'm going to have to tell you. You're going to know whether The only thing that I've committed to you is that I'm going to go take a trip there to find out. But I feel pretty confident what's going to happen, and it scares the shit out of me. I say it, ooh, I get this, my stomach, get really afraid of it. Anyway, I'm babbling now. Let's answer some questions. So Jay Berg asked the questions, what point do feelings dislike leading to hate? Will it start to change your future? The feelings don't, the actions including the beliefs that you choose to adopt as a result of those feelings, those will change your future. And then he says, this isn't a question, but he says, I've seen the effects of me creating my own reality for good, but my thoughts scare me. Your thoughts are nothing. I mean, I shouldn't say they're nothing. They're just reactions. They're just reflections of the pond. You don't have to do anything about them. This is why the vow is so good, because when you make the vow, when all those feelings come up, you can go, well, okay, yeah, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it. Yeah, I feel whatever you feel, but I've got this I'm going to do. So the feelings don't have to stop you, and the feelings don't create your karma. Only your actions and your beliefs do. Yeah, so, well, you know, anyway, it's not a question. Let's move on. Paul Haley, question. Would I be able to get a one-on-one with you within the next couple of weeks? I don't know. You can go to career.thunderwizard.com and set up a one-on-one. You know, you've got yourself an easy out. So here's how the Greek tragedy plays itself out, and you've done it in your question. The first part of your question is, would I be able to get a one-on-one with you? Yes. If you decide that that's what you want to do, make a vow to do it, which means go and buy it. Go buy a session. Whether or not you can get one with me in a couple of weeks, I don't know. I'm getting, you know, you'll have to go. There's a possibility. Maybe there's a good possibility, but I don't want to say yes or no, because if I say no, I can already hear that you're going to talk yourself out of it. So what difference does it make if it's in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks? If it's 2 weeks from now, then you'll do it, but if it's 4 weeks, you won't? Do you see how you're setting yourself up to, you know, the failure because you want it right now? And you might get it, but don't let that, you know, don't let that be a reason to do something or not do something. You know, I technically don't know how I feel about how much money I have to even take this trip, but I'm going to do it. I didn't know how I felt when I decided to move to California from, I was living in Seattle at the time after my divorce, and I didn't have the money. I used my credit card online to put a deposit on a house I hadn't even seen to rent in the mountains. And you know, everything on paper said that is the stupidest idea. You're going to be broke and homeless. And what ended up happening is then all of a sudden I didn't know where, but then things changed and I started making more money. And then I could afford where I was at. So if you're going to do something, do it. But you might get what you want. I'm not saying you won't. So Will Sadler, please write questions so I know you're asking a question. He says, what's your thoughts about the karma that humanity builds up with animal agriculture? My thoughts are, that's not what we're talking about. Why don't you talk about yourself? Why do you need to talk about that? I get why you want to talk about it. It's important to you. But all the time that you spend complaining about what, listen, human beings, this is part of the script of this game, is that human beings are learning how their destructive actions play themselves out. If you believe that you're an eternal soul, animals have eternal souls as well, so they will be okay. I'm not trying to minimize anybody's pain, animal or human, but why do you want to talk about other people? Why don't you have the balls to talk about yourself? Worry about your karma, not on other people's karma. That's their business. Here's something, you know, listen. When somebody is really not allowed to do something, the universe will stop them. Which means that if somebody gets away with something, it means that they have been given temporary ability to do it. So it's none of your business. Now, if you want to do something about that, that's different. If you believe that it is your destiny to go and run for Congress or run for whatever and do something, change laws, run after whatever, do whatever you need to do to protest it, then I salute you. But if you want to sit here and talk with me online about how other people, man, or I don't want to buy into that. Nothing personal. It shows me that you can gain more for yourself by focusing on yourself, not on other people. This is the reason why I'm reacting so strongly to this is that this is, somebody used last time we were talking about communism, the opiate of the masses. The present day opiate of the masses is to go online and complain about the injustices of blah, blah, blah. And the reason why it's an opiate is because you feel righteously self-indignant, and maybe rightfully so, but the feelings that come up of righteous indignation, those feelings create all kinds of hormones and chemicals which are a drug. And people are addicted to going online and doing that. It turns you into a victim because you create a world where these people do these horrible things, and how does the... See what I mean? I'm not saying that it's not... I mean, again, if it's really that important, you do something about it. Don't talk about it. Do something about it. I don't know you, so nothing personal. Torn Legorf, question. Relating to what you said yesterday about loving the ocean, have you heard of the seasteading concept or permanently living on the ocean? So Torn Legorf, again, don't ask me about things that I don't teach. I think I know what you're talking about. It has really nothing to do with what we're doing here. So ask me about what I teach. Ask me about what I'm talking about. Let's see, what else? Nightcat, if you have a question, write question. He says, I have Rahu, third house. What can you tell me about it? Almost nothing, because I don't know anything. I don't know what sign it's in. I don't know what planets are aspecting it. I don't know what nakshatra it's in. So I don't do this kind of stuff. If you want a reading from me, go here, astrology.thunderwizard.com. I will be more than happy to tell you about Rahu in the third house. One thing I can tell you is that you desperately want to communicate to the masses. You have a strong obsession with your communication. Rahu is a desire, unfulfilled desire, obsessions. So maybe you don't, maybe you just have an ambition to communicate, maybe to sing, to write, to communicate. Rahu is destructive, so maybe he screws up your communication. Again, if I know what's aspecting what, I can tell you how he's doing that. But third house is communication, and also things like short-term things like music, and short-term continuous, like there's different houses of communication. Third house is continuous communication. Episodic television. What I do, I come on every couple of 2 or 3 times a week. My job is to keep coming up. I'm not writing a big opus that I leave alone and everybody reads it. They come on and they watch week after week. That's the third house. Higher Truth, do not come onto my channel promoting your stuff. So you are going bye-bye. Especially Christian stuff. Dharma child, question. Is taking contrary actions to your Prarabdha Karma the beginning of living the path of Dharma? The beginning? Well, it is, I guess you could say that. That's kind of a poetic way of saying that. Your orlog, your true path. Contrary actions will get you, it's like your Dharma is here and your Greek tragedy is here, right? Your hero's tale, which is your Dharma, your Greek tragedy. You're bouncing back between the two all the time. What we want is we want to be in the hero's tale more than in the Greek tragedy. So taking contrary action will continue to push you into the hero's tale. I'm taking contrary action tonight by sharing with you. Now it's eternally in the internet ethers that I'm not a secret anymore. That is contrary action, which has thrown me into the hero's path. I am not through the test yet. I haven't finished. The King Kong still has me in his grip, and he's kind of squeezing a little bit. So I'm having a hard time getting there, but I'm on the hero's path simply because I took contrary action. Is Dharma related to one's Aruda in any way? Of course it is. Dharma is your path. Dharma is nothing more than what I say, your true soul desire. When, Dharma has this idea of service. When you operate from your true soul desire and you go after it, you automatically help others, automatically. So you don't have to think to yourself, I'm going to devote my life to service to others, unless that is something that truly gives you joy. Like you think about it, and the thought of passing out food to the hungry just fills you with joy and tears come out of your eyes, then that's your soul desire. But don't kid yourself that you're doing it because you're spiritual. You're doing it because it makes you happy. And that's the highest path there is. Your highest, deepest fulfillment. And the way you know how you're supposed to present yourself while you do your path is astrology.thunderwizard.com, your arudha, your reflection. This is my reflection. My reflection is, as I've said, Mars and Libra in the third house in Swati Padatu. I come and I share every week, and I spout, and I'm full of vim and vigor, and I slice people to pieces when they say something I don't like, because that's Mars. I'm the warrior who says you die in battle. That's me. That's my reflection. That's my aruda. That is how I'm supposed to present myself. When I do that, that's in my chart. When I do that, the universe has set it up that I will be rewarded. When I do that, people like that. I think it's ridiculous most of the time. I would not watch myself. I think somebody spouting, they're letting stuff fall out of their face like I'm doing. But I also know that that is how my soul expresses itself and all that other stuff. So to answer your question, of course, your aruda is how you present, how you walk your dharmic path. And it's been incredibly helpful to me. So, I every time I experienced this, I was giving a reading the other day, and I saw in this person's chart that they needed to present themselves a certain way. Now I can see in their chart that the way that they are presenting themselves, I can see why, because there are certain planetary things that are making them hide. And I said, I want you to say your name boldly. And as soon as they did, this wave of I can't even explain, of pleasure and happiness just came over me, because they presented themselves the way their chart said. Now that their instinct was not to do that. And I can see why. Their chart and their life experience teaches them to do something else. And I immediately wanted to give this person something. That's the power of your aruda. When you choose to really put it out there, people can't help themselves. They have to give you money, success, be your friend. This is the power of the aruda. Astrology.thunderwizard.com. Torn Legorf, question. What would be in my chart to indicate my aruda? What would be in my chart to indicate my aruda is that of a villain or someone dangerous, because it seems that I get suspected a lot even though I'm not doing anything secretly. So you're talking about something you have no experience. You don't know what you're talking about. And you haven't, and it's nothing personal. You haven't had a reading yet. You don't know what the aruda is. You don't know what your aruda is. People can be, I'm willing to bet people are responding to you that way because you are fighting your aruda. I fought with mine. My brother was a bully, and I don't like bullies. I'm violently dislike them. I can't watch movies where there's a bully. I can't, especially women being attacked. I have to turn away. I can't watch it. I can't stand it. It makes me so furious. And so I hid that. I hid the warrior in me. When I hid the warrior in me, people became frightened of me, which was the exact opposite of what I wanted. I wanted not to frighten them, because my brother used to scare the crap out of me. He was 5 years older than me and twice my size when I was a little kid. They wanted me to puff my chest out and flex my arms and walk around. They want me to be that. They feel safe. This is just, I didn't understand that. People wanted me to protect them. And by me strutting myself as a warrior, they feel protected. They like that. That's my aruda. My aruda is not to be shy and withdrawn. Then I look like an assassin because I can't escape that I look like a warrior. I can't escape it. I remember, like, you know, I remember 2 instances with guys who were master martial artists. Well, I was doing a movie once where I played a kickboxer, and I'm not a kickboxer, with a guy who was a kickboxer. And we went to go do the scene, you know, and we're just going to choreograph the scene, and I got in a posture, and he said, I am scared to death of you. It was just my aruda. If I were to tell him, well, I'm a martial artist, but I know nothing about what we're about to do because I don't do this kind of martial arts, you know, that's the power of the aruda. You can't escape it. So I'm willing to bet that you don't have the slightest clue what your aruda is. You're also trying to get something for cheap because you want me you don't want to pay the money to get an astrology reading from me. You want me to guess, and then you're going to take my guess and try and do something about it. If you want to find out what your aruda is so you can fix that so that people won't respond to you that way, go here and shell out the money to buy a reading. Have some balls. That's my message. If you want to survive this world, you've got to have balls. Even women. Got to have guts. You got to take action. The universe does not respond to people who don't take action. I'm sorry, but it's the case. That's why feelings don't matter. You can have all the feelings you want. You can be thinking about success all day long, but if you don't take action, the universe doesn't give a crap. You can feel shameful and like a complete idiot, but if you take action, the universe will respond to that and reward you for it. It's a really important lesson we need to understand. We have to get out of ourselves. This isn't about you. See, the thing about the aruda is it's not about you. Your aruda is your character that you play in this. Okay, so I keep saying that there are 2 stories that one or the other is going to play themselves out. The one thing that can't change is your character. Your character is your aruda, your reflection. That is something that you can't change. Like I said, even if you try and be something else, people can tell. It's like if your character is the devil and you've got these big giant horns that come out of your head and you can't get rid of them and you've got these big giant horns and you try and put on a suit and you try and find a hat big enough to put on there, you walk down the street, people are going to say, why is that devil hiding inside of that giant hat? You can't hide it. Might as well be it. But it's not about how you feel about yourself. Imagine that big devil with the giant horns. That's the part he's supposed to play. But he feels like a ballerina. Inside, that's who he feels like he is. Doesn't matter. That's not the part that he has been cast into playing, which of course you picked for yourself before you were born because it has your lessons in there, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so we have to get out of ourselves and do things we don't like. I mean, this is kind of a silly getup for me, but I've come to like it now. And I don't go out in public with all of this jewelry. But if I did, and the times that I have, people treat me, they like it. So just, submit to your aruda. Just be your aruda. And forget about how you feel. And play the part you've been played in this drama. This story, because it's just a story. The problem is we take it seriously and then it becomes a tragedy. Okay. Nightcat, please put question so I can answer your question. Hello, Thunder Wizard. How can I find my soul's will? Go onto my channel and type in the Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Go onto my channel and watch the videos on that. Go onto Michael WilliamDenny.com, and search for it on Amazon. You can buy the book. That's how you find out. And you can go onto my channel, and I talk about it all the time. Watch more of my videos. You are bound to hear me talk about it. I think I talk about it in every single video. Where were we? John Burnham question, have you ever thought of practicing or studying the Tarot? Yep. I have thought about it. Grebnor Thomas question, do you consider thoughts and feelings like a radar? No. That is the secret, and that is only partially true. Your thoughts and your feelings are your thoughts and your feelings. The decisions that you make about them, the beliefs that you choose to make based on them, and the actions you take is what creates it. The universe is like an ocean. So when you move, the water ripples. Your thoughts and your feelings may create an intensity. Maybe it'll warm the water up. I'm not going to say it doesn't do anything, but it's the actions that are more important. So the secret says, and I've talked about this before. I forget the name of it. The secret says, and it says this, it says you don't have to worry about the actions that you take. Just focus on what you want. Now they're right about this. Focus on what brings you happiness. That part is true. Because you don't know what actions to take if you don't know what makes you happy. Focus on what brings you happiness, and then the universe will align itself and bring it to you. I'm not going to say that won't happen, but in my experience, that's not how it works. In my experience, your happy feelings, when you're not in denial, which is a whole other thing, well, your happy feelings give you the inspiration to take action, which creates the ripples in the water. That's what the universe responds to. It's not going to respond just to your feelings. Again, you got to get out of yourself. The narcissism involved in, if I just focus on this feeling, it'll come to me, is incredibly narcissistic. Because you live in a cooperative universe with other beings. Again, I'm not going to say it won't happen. Sometimes I feel stuff. I do feel stuff. I'm pretty sure that there's an action I didn't take yesterday because I could feel something. I think somebody wanted to communicate with me, and I felt something, and I didn't respond, and, I wasn't able to communicate with that person. I don't know that for a fact because, again, it's just a feeling. But that stuff is true. It's not that that's not true. It's just that the only thing you should really be focusing on is the actions that you take, because there will be times when you will feel hostile towards somebody. But if you, out of your consciousness, not out of codependence, out of your consciousness, you take constructive action, the person will end up liking you and rewarding you for that. The universe will do the same. Torn Legarf question, why were the giants always wanting Freja? Are the giants naturally schemers? I have an answer for that, but my mind is not in that framework today. So try that question again when we're talking about the giants. So, Seen Chetty, if you want to ask a question, please write the word question. Does praying to gods, vows, etc., astrology keep you trapped in the matrix? No, please watch my videos about escaping the matrix and mastering the matrix so you understand what I teach about that. Passing Arcturus, question. First of all, thank you for your work. Is surfing something someone could pick up in their late 20s? Totally. I've known people who start surfing in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. Well, in your late 20s, you're still fairly young, but, when you're a little kid is when you learn how to ride the short boards and do all the fancy tricks. And I was lucky I started when I was 10, so I can still ride fairly short boards even at 200 pounds at 55. But you're going to have to start riding a longboard, and that's fine. I love riding longboards now. I didn't used to, but I do now. How long would it take to get decent? Don't think like that. If you're going to surf, surf. If you're serious about surfing, you're going to have to move to the ocean. It's not like tennis or skiing. I mean, you can, don't get me wrong. I mean, you can. It's just if you want to be any good at it, you're going to have to surf on a regular basis, every week for sure. And it'll take you, like when I learned, I was 10 years old. I didn't have, people go to surf schools and all that. I didn't do that. I just went out and I, fumbled around for an entire summer. I went surfing every day for a whole summer. By the end of that summer, I knew how to surf. That's how so when people ask me, can you teach me how to surf? I'm like, yeah, get a board and go surfing every day. And you'll learn. Because you have to, when it comes to surfing, there's even more so than skiing, there is a nervous system and bodily awareness knowledge that you just have to get in there. And you can only do that by, trying to balance yourself on something that doesn't want to be balanced while you're getting pushed by water. Once that gets in there and gets programmed in there, then it's there. But that only happens through repetition, lots of repetition. Master in Midgard, question, have you considered doing an episode on the lay of Vafthrudnir? I think I did. I feel pretty confident that I did. But thanks for the what do you call it? The suggestion. I will let that ferment and see if it wants to do anything. Maklovia Padilla, question. My Aruda Lagna is Libra in the 5th house of Father. The 5th house of Father? Why is it the 5th house of Father? The 5th house is the house of creation and children. So I may have said that to you. I may have called it the house of Father. I don't know what. But the 5th house, if we have to pick a family member, it's going to be children. Because the 5th house is creativity. It's literally the act of sex, lovemaking. It is creation. It is performance. It is study of ancient texts, study in school. So Libra in the 5th house. I don't know if there's not a planet in there. The bright mother of creation. Well, that's the bright mother of creation. I don't know who gave you that. Did I give you that or somebody else give you that? Libra is Venus, and it means the balance. Balance, it means a good deal, basically is what it means. It means balance. So Libra in the 5th house is going to be... Anyway, so I don't know if there's a planet in there. It sounds like there's, but see, again, I can't tell just from that. I have to look at your whole chart. So if you have questions about a chart that I have given you or one of my apprentices, go back here to astrology.thunderwizard.com. You should keep going back and getting rereadings. I've been doing that with people, and we go deeper and deeper and deeper. As I learn more, I can go deeper into somebody's chart. You should always be checking in and getting more information. But you have to go buy it. Anyway, sorry I couldn't answer your question. Dharma Child, question. What are some ways I can better understand my Aruda and its characteristics so that I can more confidently, consistently embody it? Rahu, 11th house, Pisces. Well, you can continue to study everything about Rahu in the 11th house, Rahu in Pisces. Pisces in the 11th house, the 11th house. You can find out what the nakshatras are. So every planet, including your ascendant, is going to be in a specific nakshatra. And then this nakshatra is chopped up into 4 sections called padas. So find out the, for instance, I believe my Mars is in Swati Pada 2. So if I really want to understand the deeper intricacies of Mars in my chart, I go deep into Swati Pada 2, which is interestingly because Swati is ruled by Rahu, which means that Rahu and Mars are working together in this really weird way, which you can't see if you're just looking at the chart. So that's what I would recommend that you do. Paige Keller, question, do you know anything about the moon and why it affects menstrual cycles and tides? Other than the fact that the moon represents the mother, it represents fluids. And in reality, you know, in the physical world, the moon and the way it revolves around the earth pulls the water to it. So, you know, outside of that, I mean, I don't know how deep you want me to go. I don't know if I can. That's about as deep as I can get. I heard it might have been brought here somehow. The moon? That's nonsense. The moon wasn't brought here. The moon, I believe, is the Earth. That as the planets were forming, I don't know if this, I think I heard this from physics, but whatever science says the moon is what the moon is. If there is a mythology about the moon being brought here, then you have to understand what the mythological symbolism is. If this is just some David Icke nonsense that the moon was brought here by aliens, then I don't buy it. So I don't know what you're asking. I'm not saying that you're saying that, but the moon and the earth, I see them as being connected. Anyway, I'm sorry I can't answer your question better than that. John Burnham, question, what suggestions or thoughts do you have for Pluto and Jupiter conjunct in the 8th house? John Burnham, I do Vedic astrology. Vedic astrology is different from Western astrology. So we don't, not that there isn't something to do with Pluto, but the thing about the Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, one of the reasons why Vedic astrology doesn't deal with it, although some Vedic astrologers do, is because they're generational. So Pluto, you know, is going to be in the same spot for a lot of people for a big chunk of years. So we don't deal with it. It doesn't mean it doesn't have a connection. But assuming that you are talking about your Western chart, Jupiter may not even be in your 8th house in Vedic. It's off by 24 degrees. There's a 24-degree difference. It may be in a completely different sign in a completely different house. So again, if you want a reading from me, go here. People want to ask me astrology questions, and I can't really get that deep because I don't have enough info, but I also, it would just take, you know, it takes way too long. There have been times when I've done free readings, and every now and then I'll do that on here, but the Q&As. But most of the time I refuse to do people's readings on here. Well, Maklovia, if you got a Vedic reading from one of my apprentices, you can still get one from me. So why are you making excuses? She says, the person that gave me the Vedic reading is no longer available, so I never got to ask questions. I'm still here. Why are you looking for excuses not to go invest in yourself? This is really what it is. Buying things, for me to buy a surfboard, for me to pay what looks like it's going to be $3 grand to go to Australia for 2 weeks. It's a hell of a lot of money for me right now. That's an investment in my entire life. And I know that investments pay off financially. And when you invest in yourself in something that you need, you know, all this stuff here, you know, as I get more, we'll see. Maybe I won't need to charge more when I get to Australia because my dollar will go farther. But, you know, invest in yourself. Don't use any of that stuff as an excuse. I understand it. I'm not trying to judge anybody because I do it. But, you know, invest in yourself. You're only here once. I'm only in this body once, man. Now that I've hit 55, you know, I won't lie to you. I'm looking at, you know, what happens to people after 55. You know, people tell me, you know, wow, you're how old? If I shave this off, people sometimes think I'm maybe, you know, sometimes people have said in my 30s, which is very nice. I don't know about that, but I can definitely pass for 40-something. But with this, people start to see me as being 50-something. But, you know, no matter how healthy I am and no matter how long I'm able to keep this, you know, all this testosterone that I seem to still have, how much longer I'm going to have that, I don't know. I'm only on this planet in this body once. And for me not to give my body everything that it wants is a real disservice. And so invest in yourself. You're only waiting until something changes or waiting until things get better. That is the path of going down the Greek tragedy. That's what the people in the Greek tragedy did. They lived in fear and they tried to avoid their destiny. And the fact, all of the things they did to avoid their destiny is what brought them into the king's palace, where he kills his father and has sex with his mother, Oedipus. Okay, so don't do that. Do the opposite. Do the thing, when you make an investment in yourself and it costs and it hurts, that's one way that the universe says that person is serious. Let's get them some success. I proved it to myself. Anyway, I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just using that as an excuse. Mastering Midgard question. In context to the episode you covered on that myth, I was searching through your channel and couldn't find it. Do you remember which one you might have covered that in so I can watch that one? I don't remember offhand. Sorry. I do not remember. All right, I'm going to take a short break, and probably will be ending for today. If there's any interesting last-minute questions, I'll answer it, but let's take a break, and I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Yep. Silvana Ivanda, please write questions. So I know you're asking me a question. If you live in Australia, would you still be online? Of course, I'm going to do the exact same thing I'm doing now. Like I said, this is definitely something that is me, and that's part of my checklist. It has been for a long time. I thought about moving to South America because on paper there are places in South America that have similar climate and lots of unspoiled waves, but I really don't want to have to live in a culture that is a different language. Even though I speak Spanish, I don't really think in Spanish, and it's a whole everything. Australia, I've been there before. It's like California. It just feels like California. They talk funny and they drive on the wrong side of the road, but other than that, it's exactly the same. It's in terms of the culture. That's why I'm so comfortable there. All right, that's it for me, my friends. So, most powerful energy practice that I can give publicly, qigong.thunderwizard.com. Thunderwizard.com if you want to learn shamanism from the ground up, starting from the basics all the way to the advanced. And that is one way to support this channel, because it's a monthly subscription and there are different levels of subscription based on, if you want personal interaction with me, or if you just want to watch the however many thousands of hours of video there is on there, which is not on the YouTube channel. It's a regular support that comes to me, which helps me do this. I would like to just spend my time doing this, doing researching and doing videos and teaching online. I like doing that. I want that to be one of the things I do. One way that you can ensure that is by subscribing at thunderwizard.com. MichaelWilliamDenny.com has all of my books. If you want my videos, I believe all of my DVDs are at videos. Is this right? Michael William Denny. Whoops. I believe that's where you can find all. If it's not videos.michaelwilliamdenny, it's videos.thunderwizard.com. One of those two. And let's see here. Astrology.thunderwizard.com. I've already plugged that. So go there if you need a reading. I'll be happy to, me or one of my apprentices. If you want to learn the astrology that I do, and if you want an opportunity to be on my website or create your own astrology business, you can go to astrologycertification.thunderwizard.com. astrologycertification.thunderwizard.com. And here's something that I haven't plugged, and I didn't even realize how valuable it was until I put the thing together. What happens is if you follow my course, you learn my specific niche of Vedic astrology. It's not going to teach you everything there is, but it's going to teach you my specific niche, which is very specific. I think it's very powerful and useful. And then what happens is if you become certified, which is not that hard to do, you just follow a simple little test, and I know that you know what you're doing. Then I give you your own web page on my site. And there will be the astrology.thunderwizard.com. You'll see there are other people there. If you click on their name, you get their own website, which on the Thunderwizard, underneath Thunderwizard. And then if you've got other things that you do, I will put those links on there. And then you have a website to give to people. joeschmo.thunderwizard.com. You get a reading from me, get a rune reading from me, get a whatever. And that in and of itself is worth far more than what I charge for the certification course. I didn't realize that until I did it, but I'm happy to do it because I'm here to create teachers. I'm not here to create dependent students. I'm here to create teachers who can think for themselves, who can take what I give them and expand on it. That's what I want for you. So you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. If you want a rune reading from me, you can go to runereadings.thunderwizard.com or transformation.thunderwizard.com, and you'll get a rune reading from me. I have a rune reading certification course, which is, I believe, runecertification.thunderwizard.com. runecertification.thunderwizard.com, same thing as before. You can become a certified Thunderwizard rune reader, and I'll put you on my website and give you a page and all that good stuff. So I think that's it. That's all the plugging I'm going to do for today. Are there any questions as I'm leaving here? One question. Jared Rosier question. Do you know what it means to be a call bearer? My fiance, myself, and our daughter were born with an extra M. All right. I don't know what that means. Okay, that's it for me, my friends. I look forward to seeing you later, maybe tomorrow, I don't know. But that is all for me today. Talk to you later.